Welcome to the Echoes of Ihsan Podcast. Today we are diving deep into a topic that's often, I think, shrouded in mystery and misunderstanding, um, legal punishments in Islamic law.
Ooh.
And our primary source for this deep dive is Sunan al Tirmidhi, Volume 3. This volume, it's really amazing. It offers these profound insights into the Prophet Muhammad's sayings and practices, and I think it gives us a lens to examine this complex subject.
Yeah, and it's so important to approach this topic with nuance and sensitivity,
Yeah.
recognizing that Islamic jurisprudence, it's far from monolithic. There's like a rich history of interpretation and debate among scholars, right? And our aim here is just to kind of shed light on some key concepts and principles, not to present a definitive or exhaustive legal perspective.
Think of this as like a journey of discovery,
Okay.
where we unpack the intricate tapestry of Islamic law, focusing specifically on hudud, this category of punishments for specific serious crimes.
And the hudud are often a point of contention, so it's crucial to understand what they are and more importantly, what they aren't.
Yeah.
These punishments, they're fixed, they're determined by divine decree. And they actually represent a small subset of the broader Islamic legal framework.
And they're also misunderstood, I think, right?
Yeah.
Many people assume that these punishments are like commonplace in societies governed by Islamic law.
Right. It's not quite accurate. It's a common misconception.
Yeah.
The hudud are subject to very, very stringent evidentiary requirements, making their application like exceptionally rare in practice. Islamic legal tradition really emphasizes the importance of justice, tempered with mercy. The hudud are no exception.
That concept of balancing justice and mercy, it really resonates with me.
Sure.
It suggests that, like, punishment, while necessary to maintain societal order, it should always be accompanied by a deep sense of compassion and striving for rehabilitation.
Absolutely. And we see this principle reflected in numerous hadiths, where the Prophet Muhammad urges judges to err on the side of leniency and prioritize forgiveness whenever possible. This emphasis on mercy is a cornerstone of Islamic law, ensuring that punishments, especially those as severe as the hudud, are only applied after, careful consideration and with the utmost caution.
So let's unpack some specific examples of hudud punishments outlined in the Sunan al Tirmidhi. Let's start with theft. This is one that often grabs headlines, conjuring images of hand amputations. But as we've discussed, it's far more nuanced than that.
Indeed, the text lays out very, very specific conditions for hand amputation to even be considered.
Okay.
For instance, the value of the stolen item must exceed a certain threshold.
Ah.
Imagine something of significant value, not just like a loaf of bread taken out of desperation. And the stolen item, it cannot be a basic necessity, like food or water, things essential for survival. The law recognizes the complexities of human circumstances and doesn't impose like harsh punishments for acts committed out of sheer necessity.
There's that emphasis on mercy again, even in the context of what seems like a strict punishment.
Precisely. And to illustrate this point further, there's this fascinating hadith where the Prophet Muhammad actually refuses to amputate a man's hand for stealing from the spoils of war.
Wow.
His reasoning: he feared the perpetrator might, like, out of resentment for the punishment, abandon Islam altogether and join the enemy.
That's a powerful example of how context, potential consequences, and individual circumstances play a crucial role in the application of Islamic law, I think.
It highlights the principle of prioritizing the greater good and the preservation of faith over the strict application of a particular punishment. This incident reminds us that Islamic law is not a rigid, unyielding system, but rather a framework designed to promote justice and uphold the well-being of individuals and the community as a whole.
Let's move on to another often discussed hudud punishment, adultery. This one often sparks controversy and raises questions about how Islamic law addresses such a sensitive issue.
Yeah, Sunan al Tirmidhi, it presents this compelling case where a man's son commits adultery with another man's wife. And the Prophet Muhammad, after consulting the Quran, he issues different punishments for the son and the married woman. So the son, found guilty, receives lashes and is banished, a punishment designed to both chastise and rehabilitate. However, the married woman, after confessing to the act, faces a different outcome: stoning.
I can see why this particular punishment often generates strong reactions.
It's crucial to acknowledge the diverse range of opinions regarding the application of this specific punishment among Islamic scholars throughout history. So some scholars argue for its application based solely on confession, while others, they insist on the testimony of 4 witnesses. Reflecting the the high evidentiary standard required for such a severe penalty. These varying viewpoints, they really highlight the dynamism within Islamic legal thought, demonstrating that it's not a static system, but one that has evolved through ongoing interpretation and debate.
This case and the differing interpretations surrounding it
Yeah.
emphasize the need for a nuanced understanding of Islamic law, acknowledging its complexities and the ongoing dialogue among scholars.
Precisely. Another hudud punishment that deserves our attention, one that often stirs controversy, is the punishment for apostasy, the act of renouncing Islam.
Okay.
A particularly striking story recounts Caliph Ali's decision to burn apostates. However, what makes this account even more intriguing is the objection raised by Ibn Abbas, a prominent figure in early Islam.
What was the basis of his objection?
Ibn Abbas argued, based on the Prophet Muhammad's teachings, that humans shouldn't punish with God's punishment, which is fire. He believed that by burning the apostates, Caliph Ali was essentially kind of usurping God's prerogative. So even within the early Muslim community, there were disagreements and differing interpretations of Islamic law, particularly when it came to applying these severe punishments.
Absolutely. This historical debate, even among such prominent figures, underscores that Islamic law is not like a monolithic entity frozen in time. It's a dynamic system that has been and continues to be shaped by interpretation, context, and ongoing dialogue among scholars.
These examples we've explored, I think, they really highlight the complexity of applying the hudud, showcasing the need for careful consideration and a deep understanding of the context, the individual circumstances, and the broader principles of Islamic law.
You've hit the nail on the head. The hudud are not about blind retribution or promoting cruelty. They represent a small, very specific part of a much larger legal system, one that prioritizes justice, mercy, and the well-being of the community. This deep dive has been so insightful. We've learned about the stringent conditions surrounding the application of these punishments, the importance of considering context and individual circumstances, and the ongoing debate among scholars about their interpretation. It's clear that understanding the hudud requires a multifaceted approach, one that considers the letter of the law alongside the spirit of mercy and compassion that defines Islamic legal tradition.
Couldn't agree more. And as we delve deeper into Sunan al Tirmidhi, we'll continue to uncover the fascinating tapestry of principles and values that shape this, intricate and often misunderstood legal system. So, as we've been exploring the hudud, these specific and often misunderstood punishments, it's become clear that they exist within a much broader framework of principles that govern all aspects of life in Islamic law, And one such principle, and this is where it gets really fascinating, is the concept of gharar.
Okay, Gharar, I haven't heard that one before. Break it down for us. What exactly does it mean, and how does it relate to these principles of justice and mercy we've been talking about?
So gharar, in essence, it refers to any element of uncertainty or risk or deception that could lead to one party in a transaction being unjustly disadvantaged. So imagine a business deal where one person has all the information and they use that knowledge to exploit the other, That's the kind of scenario that gharar aims to prevent.
So it's about ensuring fairness and transparency in all dealings, whether we're talking about business transactions or legal proceedings or even everyday interactions.
Exactly. It's about leveling the playing field, and ensuring that all parties involved are treated equitably and they have a clear understanding of the terms and potential consequences of their actions. And this commitment to transparency and fairness, it resonates with the emphasis on justice and mercy we see in the hudud punishments.
Can you give us some specific examples of how gharar plays out in practice? Does Sunan al Tirmidhi offer any concrete scenarios that illustrate this principle?
It certainly does. One of the most striking examples is the prohibition on selling goods that haven't yet been acquired. So imagine, someone's trying to sell you a rare artifact, promising to deliver it next week, but they don't actually possess the item yet. That's a classic case of gharar, right? There's a high degree of uncertainty and risk involved, and the buyer could easily be left empty-handed.
Makes sense. You can't guarantee something you don't actually have.
Yeah.
It feels like this principle aligns with modern consumer protection laws in many ways.
Absolutely. The spirit of gharar, this emphasis on protecting individuals from exploitation and deception, it resonates with contemporary legal systems that aim to safeguard consumer rights. It's a testament to the enduring relevance of these ancient principles.
So the prohibition on selling goods you don't yet possess, that's one example.
Yeah.
What other scenarios does Sunan al Tirmidhi highlight to illustrate the concept of gharar?
Another fascinating example is the prohibition on selling something that is not clearly defined or measurable.
Okay.
So imagine trying to buy a piece of land without clear boundaries or a quantity of grain without like a standardized unit of measurement.
Yeah.
Those kinds of transactions are rife with ambiguity and potential for dispute.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like a recipe for chaos.
Yeah.
And Islamic law, through the principle of gharar, aims to preempt those kinds of situations by promoting clarity and precision.
Exactly. It's about fostering trust and fairness in the marketplace by ensuring that like all parties involved have a clear understanding of the terms of the agreement. And this emphasis on clarity and precision, it's also reflected in the application of the hudud punishments, where strict evidentiary standards are required to prevent injustice.
It strikes me that gharar, it goes beyond simply avoiding like outright fraud, right?
Uh-huh.
It's about fostering a culture of ethical conduct in all of our dealings, a culture where transparency and fairness are like paramount.
You've hit the nail on the head. It's about cultivating a sense of moral responsibility,
Yeah.
recognizing that our actions have consequences for others and striving to conduct ourselves in a way that upholds justice and equity.
Now, you mentioned earlier that gharar is a particularly crucial concept in Islamic finance.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. How does this ancient principle apply to the complexities of modern financial systems?
That's a great question. One of the foundational principles of Islamic finance is the prohibition of riba, often translated as interest. And the idea is that money itself shouldn't generate more money. It's seen as like a medium of exchange, not a commodity to be traded for profit.
Right. So the focus is on ethical investment and profit sharing, not on simply accumulating wealth through interest-bearing loans.
Yeah.
How does gharar fit into this equation?
So many traditional interest-based financial instruments, like certain types of loans or investments, they involve a high degree of uncertainty and speculation.
Right.
So think about like derivatives or highly leveraged investments, where the value is tied to the performance of other assets, and their future value is inherently unpredictable. And this unpredictability, this lack of transparency, is where gharar comes into play.
So Islamic finance, guided by the principle of gharar, seeks to avoid those types of investments that involve excessive risk, speculation, and lack of transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, the emphasis is on tangible assets, ethical partnerships, and profit sharing based on real economic activity.
Precisely. It's about aligning financial transactions with ethical principles and ensuring that wealth is generated through productive endeavors that benefit individuals and the community as a whole. This resonates with the principle of social responsibility that we see emphasized throughout Sunan al Tirmidhi.
It's fascinating how this ancient principle of gharar has such profound implications for the way we think about finance and economics. Yeah. It's a reminder that our financial systems aren't just like abstract mechanisms, but reflections of our values and priorities as a society.
Absolutely. And as we continue to navigate the complexities of our globalized economy, I think the principles embodied in gharar, this emphasis on transparency, fairness, and ethical conduct, they can serve as valuable guiding lights.
So far, we've delved into the hudud, those specific punishments that, while severe, are rarely applied and exist within a broader framework of principles like gharar, which emphasizes justice, mercy, and social responsibility. But Sunan al Tirmidhi, it's not just about, legal pronouncements, right? It offers guidance on all aspects of life, including how we conduct ourselves in social situations.
That's right. It's like, a guide to living a virtuous life, and it offers some like timeless wisdom on how to navigate the complexities of human interaction.
One hadith that really stood out to me was the one about the importance of not interrupting others when they're speaking. It seems like such a simple thing, but in today's world of constant distractions and instant gratification, it's a principle that often gets overlooked,
It's a powerful reminder that like true communication involves like both speaking and listening, It's about respecting the other person's right to express themselves fully and attentively listening to their perspective, even if it differs from our own.
Yeah. This hadith, this one really resonates with me, especially in the age of social media, where conversations often just evolve into shouting matches and personal attacks. It's a call to like step back from the cacophony and engage in meaningful dialogue, to listen with the intent to understand, not just to respond.
Precisely. It's about cultivating a culture of of respect,
Yeah.
recognizing the inherent value of each person's voice and perspective, and fostering a space where genuine communication can flourish.
Another hadith that caught my attention, and this one is particularly relevant in today's world of rumors and online gossip, is the one about, avoiding backbiting and spreading negativity about others. The imagery used in Sunan al Tirmidhi is quite striking. It compares backbiting to like consuming the flesh of your dead brother.
Wow, that's a powerful analogy. It conveys the gravity of this sin, tearing down others with words, spreading rumors, violating the trust that should exist between people.
Yeah. It's a reminder that our words have power and we should use them to build others up, not to tear them down. This principle aligns beautifully with the concept of social responsibility we've been discussing, recognizing the interconnectedness of our actions and how they impact others.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a culture of kindness and compassion, recognizing the inherent dignity of every individual, and striving to create a society where relationships are built on trust and mutual respect. It's like as we delve deeper into Sunan al Tirmidhi, I'm struck by how these principles of justice, mercy, and social responsibility, they kind of extend beyond individual actions and permeate like the collective duties of the community.
Yeah, it's like a ripple effect.
Yeah.
Where like individual acts of kindness and ethical conduct contribute to a more just and harmonious society as a whole.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected and responsible for each other's well-being.
Precisely. And one area where this social responsibility like really shines through is in the realm of financial dealings. We've already explored the concept of gharar, which prevents deception and exploitation in business transactions. But Sunan al Tirmidhi, it goes further, it actively encourages generosity and compassion in financial matters.
You're referring to the emphasis on giving respite to those in need, those who are struggling to repay debts, right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful concept. Recognizing that financial hardship can strike anyone and urging those who are more fortunate to extend a helping hand.
Exactly. Chapter 67, Hadith 1307, it specifically highlights the virtue of granting extensions to those who are struggling to repay their debts. It's not about shaming or punishing those who are, down on their luck, but about offering like support and understanding. It's a powerful reminder that true wealth, it lies not just in, material possessions, but in the richness of our compassion and our willingness to uplift others.
Yeah, this concept of sharing wealth and alleviating financial burdens, it resonates strongly with the emphasis on social responsibility that we see throughout, Islamic teachings. It's about fostering a sense of community where everyone feels supported and valued, regardless of their economic circumstances.
And this spirit of generosity, it extends beyond like lending and borrowing. It encompasses all forms of financial interaction, even like simple acts of kindness in everyday transactions. There's this beautiful hadith where the Prophet Muhammad encourages, adding a little extra when weighing goods for sale.
Right. It's a small gesture, but it speaks volumes about the intention behind our actions.
Right.
It's about going beyond the bare minimum, exceeding expectations, and creating a culture of abundance where everyone feels valued and respected.
Right. Precisely. It's about shifting our mindset from scarcity to abundance, recognizing that our blessings are multiplied when we share them with others. And this spirit of generosity, it aligns with the principles of justice and mercy we've been discussing, extending compassion to all aspects of life, even our financial dealings.
Now, this focus on social responsibility, it isn't limited to financial matters. It extends to the realm of leadership and governance as well. What insights does Sunan al Tirmidhi offer on the responsibilities of those in positions of authority?
It emphasizes that true leadership, it's about service, not power. Leaders are entrusted with the well-being of those they govern, and they are accountable for their actions. Chapter 6, Hadith 1332, it specifically cautions leaders against closing their doors to those in need. It's a reminder that leadership is a privilege, not a right, and it comes with the weighty responsibility of caring for the most vulnerable members of society.
It's a powerful message. It reminds me of the principle of justice we discussed earlier, in the context of the hudud. Justice isn't just about punishment, but about ensuring fairness and equity for all, especially those who are most marginalized or voiceless.
Absolutely. And this commitment to justice, it extends to the legal system itself. Sunan al Tirmidhi emphasizes the importance of fairness and impartiality in legal proceedings. Chapter 8, Hadith 1336, it cautions judges against ruling while angry. It's highlighting the importance of like emotional regulation and objectivity when making decisions that impact people's lives.
Right. It's about ensuring that judgments are based on reason and evidence,
Yeah.
not swayed by personal biases or fleeting emotions. This principle aligns perfectly with the stringent evidentiary requirements we discussed in relation to the hudud, further underscoring the emphasis on fairness and protecting the innocent from unjust punishment.
Precisely. And this concern for protecting the vulnerable, it extends to even the most challenging situations like warfare. We've already touched upon the prohibitions against mutilating enemy corpses and killing women and children, but Sunan al Tirmidhi goes further, offering guidelines to minimize suffering and uphold human dignity even amidst conflict.
You're referring to the Hadith in chapter 17, Hadith 1566, that forbids separating mothers from their children during captivity, right?
Right.
It's a poignant reminder that even in the midst of war, compassion and empathy must prevail.
It's a testament to the enduring values of humanity and mercy that lie at the heart of Islamic teachings, reminding us that even our enemies, they deserve to be treated with a degree of dignity and respect. This principle echoes the emphasis on fairness and compassion that we see like woven throughout Sunan al Tirmidhi, from the application of the hudud to the principles of ethical finance to the guidelines for social interaction.
It's as if the text is constantly reminding us that we're all interconnected, that our actions have consequences for others, and that we have a collective responsibility to create a world where justice, fairness, and compassion prevail.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we're not like isolated individuals, but part of a larger social fabric. Our choices, our actions, they ripple outward, impacting the lives of those around us. And this sense of interconnectedness, I think, is what drives the emphasis on compassion and empathy that we've encountered throughout our deep dive into Sunan al Tirmidhi.
What a journey this has been. We started by exploring the hudud, those specific and often misunderstood punishments, and discovered that they exist within a much larger framework of principles and values that guide all aspects of life in Islamic law.
We delved into the concept of gharar, which promotes fairness and transparency in all our dealings, and explored the emphasis on social responsibility, from financial generosity to ethical leadership to compassionate treatment of even our enemies.
Sunan al Tirmidhi offers us not just a legal code, but a guide to living a virtuous life, one grounded in justice, mercy, and a deep commitment to the well-being of the community. It's been an illuminating exploration, and I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
There's always more to learn and discover, but I think our deep dive has provided a solid foundation for further exploration, and I encourage you, our listeners, to continue this journey of discovery, to delve deeper into the rich tapestry of Islamic thought, and to reflect on how these timeless principles can guide us toward a more just, compassionate, and harmonious world.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, may peace and blessings be upon you.
All right.